Welcome back, welcome back. 2 workers from the charity Save the Children have been released in Somalia, to great relief this week. But coming hot on the heels of the death of aid worker Linda Norgrove in Afghanistan, the news has prompted people to ask whether aid workers are increasingly becoming targets. Indeed, humanitarian aid workers worldwide are now 4 times more likely to be killed than they were in the 1990s. So why is aid becoming more dangerous? And should the charities themselves be doing more to protect their staff? And incidentally, was a ransom paid for one of the Save the Children hostages? I'm joined now by Yasmine Whitbread. She's the CEO, recently appointed CEO of Save the Children. Welcome, lovely to have you with us.
Thank you.
On the point about Somalia and danger and so on, what are your thoughts about it at the moment? I mean, do you need to do more to protect? Are there areas that you're going to have to leave alone, sadly, and work where there's need but not danger? What's your thought?
Well, in a way, by the nature of our business, of what we're trying to do, we're always going to be working to support the poorest and most vulnerable children, and they are going to be in some of the world's most dangerous places. So we can't turn our back on dangerous places, because then we'd be turning our back on the very children we're there to help. But what we can do is be incredibly professional in the way that we manage security, the way that we prepare our staff, the way that we make sure that they are protected to the greatest degree, while still delivering what we need to do for children.
And in this latest crisis, people are delighted about the survival, but there is this ongoing controversy. I wonder if we've got to the bottom of it by now, but I mean, one guy saying that he was the person who gave money, ransom money, $100,000, to get the aid worker freed, and Save the Children, as per your shake of the head there, says no way. How do we resolve this? Is it possible that he gave the money, but he was nothing to do with Save the Children?
No,
or was he something to do with it?
It was very clear at the very outset of when these 2, a national staff member and an international staff member, were taken, that this was, the local community were completely outraged by this, because we had been invited in, the local clans saw these people as their guests, and they had been invited in to prepare the way so that Save the Children could potentially set up feeding programmes for very malnourished children. And so the local communities were absolutely outraged, and they immediately mobilised when they realised that this criminal gang had come in and taken their guests. And they made it clear from the beginning that they were going to do everything that they possibly could, and these are quite powerful people in their own districts, to release those 2 people. And the first person was the national staff member was released pretty quickly, and then the international staff member just a couple of days ago. So there was never any question. We were never asked for a ransom. There was never any question of a ransom being paid. Who's
the person who says he paid the ransom then?
I don't know about that. I wouldn't want to get drawn into that, because really that is there's obviously lots of speculation around cases like this. I mean, the person who we were employed lives in Nairobi. He's quite well known. Everybody wants to comment on this. There's lots of speculation, but what I can tell you is actually what happened. And actually,
well, you don't know exactly what happened out there. You know that from head office you weren't going to pay.
Well, no,
but
because
somebody could pay on your behalf.
But we're running a programme not from head office. We're running it from Nairobi, actually, and we've been in Somalia for 40 years. We're very familiar with what we're doing there, and we've had similar situations where we've had to make sure that we've established the real connection with the local community. I mean, that's how we do it. Because lots of people wouldn't be able to work in these areas, but when you've been working in these countries for 40 many years, and you've really got the connections with the locals, then you can assess the situation. And to be honest, paying a ransom is actually going to be counterproductive to Save the Children's safety
you'll be
and
asked
security.
For more next time.
Absolutely, yes. And I think the most important thing is that it's very important that we are seen as neutral, impartial, independent actors, that we don't have any particular axe to grind. We're just there to do what it says on the tin, to save the children. And I think if we get drawn into other more complicated negotiations, other cases, then that's going to only sort of potentially jeopardise our our name and the confidence that people have in us around the world.
And so it would be destructive, the principle would be destructive to the whole financing of the movement of Save the Children, I suppose. Are there therefore places in the world, maybe small pockets, where you would not wish to have a Save the Children worker because it's so deadly?
Well, there certainly are places where, for the moment, we have said that we can't work. So in Iraq, we were there for many, many years, and in the end, we assessed the level of risk and the amount of good we could be doing for children and weighed the two up. And we said, you know, in order to work in the places we'd been working, we would have to invest such a huge amount in the security, training and planning and management, communications materials, etc., that it wouldn't, the cost-benefit equation wouldn't add up anymore. And so there have been places where we've had to withdraw for a period of time. But there are other places, Afghanistan, for example, where, again, we've been working for over 30 years, where we are able to continue to work even where it's very dangerous because, again, we're seen as part of what the local community wants to see happen for their children. They want to see their girls and boys in school. They want to make sure that there are health facilities. And they see that Save the Children is doing that, not part of any kind of wider agenda, but simply on the humanitarian imperative. I
mean, I suppose sometimes in various places in the world you do have to be very neutral, don't you? I mean, you do have to not look as though you're on either side. Absolutely.
That's the fundamental issue. And there is you talked earlier about the numbers having really increased. Last year there were 270 serious security incidents involving humanitarian workers. As you say, that's 4 times the amount that it was 10 years ago. And in that period, what we've seen is one of the contributing factors, an increasing politicisation of aid. We've heard about in the war in Iraq and then Afghanistan, the whole idea of hearts and minds. And, often people think, well, what's wrong with soldiers going out and building schools? Surely that's a good thing. But the trouble is, as soon as that happens, from the local population's perspective, those soldiers are clearly part of a military effort, and therefore the school becomes part of the military effort, or at least it's perceived to be. And then those schools are often attacked, the children are put at risk. So, what we really try to advocate for is a separation of military imperatives and humanitarian initiatives, and not this blurring that we're consistently having to sort of fight against.
It's a great work you do. Thank you very much for being with us today. Thanks for everything.
Thank you very much indeed.
Bye-bye. Our thanks to Yasmine there. In a moment, to Afghanistan for my meeting with a Taliban leader. He says he's a former Taliban leader, but he's very much involved there. That's after this short break.